How's it going, doggy people? I hope you all are doing well. Hope everyone's having a great week, weekend, whatever day you're watching this on. We are going to be catching up on a few of these YouTube shorts. I'm just going to do a little compilation of them. They've been building up for me. I've been busy with work and I wanted to finally catch up on these. So without further ado, let's get started with these. The first one is worst dog training mistake done every day.
This is the worst things that you accidentally do with your dog every single day. As a canine behaviorist, I specialize...
Okay, so that's one thing I do want to talk on real quick. The fact that he calls himself a behaviorist, and he's done this in many clips before. I'm not sure what country of origin he works in, which necessarily, I mean, it has nothing to do with anything except for legality purposes. In the United States, you cannot call yourself a behaviorist, although many people do, legally. It is considered fraud to call yourself an animal behaviorist, a trainer behaviorist, whatever, because you are required to have credentials for that. In order to have the title and hold the title and work with this title of behaviorist, you will have a minimum of a bachelor's degree, more likely a master's degree, possibly a doctorate degree. You are studying animal science, how they work. You're working to have the utmost current information on how dogs work. And how he works with dogs does not tell me at all that he is a behaviorist, because they do not use any of these aversive tools. No behaviorist, true behaviorist, will tell you to use a slip lead on your dog, or a prong collar, or flood them, or support pack theory, or any of this, because they've studied how dogs work. They've gone through many, many years, I'm sure, of becoming educated by proper studies and information, and they don't just go out there and call themselves a behaviorist. So here in America, if you were to report this, then it would be considered fraud, because you cannot call yourself a behaviorist. If anybody does call me a behaviorist, I'm always sure to correct them, because I don't deserve that title. I haven't worked to get that title. I'm a certified dog trainer, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just clearly want to make sure to give credit where credit is due. So this gentleman, in my mind, is not at all a behaviorist. He just calls himself that. And a lot of people will feed into it and say, oh, that's a nice title. It's like if I watch Dr. Phil and I start giving out advice based on Dr. Phil, that doesn't make me a therapist or a psychologist or psychiatrist. It doesn't make me any of that. I just call myself that because I have tools that I've learned from other people. It doesn't make me that. Same here.
I specialize in when things go terribly wrong with dogs, which also means...
So yeah, he may specialize. He's a dog trainer. He is not a behaviorist. And it bothers me so much that people will use and abuse this term, and really it's a way to get other people to listen to them over others, because you have that one-up of having that label, I'm a behaviorist, versus just a regular dog trainer. Again, nothing wrong with being a dog trainer or having that title or whatever title you want. If he actually has the degrees and education to back it up, I will take everything back I ever said. And there's nothing wrong with doing your own homework, okay? If somebody is going to call themselves a behaviorist, they sure as hell better have the credentials to back it up.
The reasons why those bad things happened, so let's look at some of them right now. The first one is leaving food down for your dog. Not only are you missing out on a massive opportunity...
So when it comes to leaving food down, I mean, I think it depends for the dog for the most part. If you have a puppy, leaving food down can definitely cause an issue with trying to potty train them. You know, if your dog has constant availability of food, then it's really hard to time when they're going to need to go outside to go potty, especially for a younger puppy under 6 months. After they eat, usually they go out immediately afterwards, and then, every 30 minutes of either active play or a drink or whatever. So if you have food down constantly, they're constantly eating, or even an older dog, you may see house training issues that kind of resurface.
To help train your dog, but you're also missing out on a massive opportunity to build a relationship with your dog.
Okay, so I can agree with that. I can, I'm not just about harping all over him, but some of the words that he uses is just, it's incorrect, or it's a complete lie, or there's the misconception of it, where he's kind of twisting the truth a bit. So that's what I don't like about it. But hey, I'm all for using food to your benefit to create that relationship with your dog and using it for training. I think that's perfect. Don't just put it down in the bowl and they eat it. You know, for me, I'm not going to make my dog work for every piece of kibble that they get. You know, I'll maybe take a quarter of the food or half of it, do a little training, and then let them eat the rest in peace.
All the best things in life come through you. So stop leaving food down for your dog to have access to whenever they want. The next thing is...
I mean, yeah, that's true. I think he could have explained... I mean, he's doing a YouTube short, so he's going to just kind of say a little bit. But I would say that if he's going to say that, he could probably go into a little bit more explanation as to why, instead of just, all good things come from you. Because then if you're over-controlling, like a lot of humans are, that, you know, you only get food from my hand or whatnot. You know, what's wrong with just letting the dog have their meal at their own pace in their own little space? And I'm not saying that, you know, he's not saying that you can't do that. I'm just saying that people can kind of take that as, you know, misinterpretation.
Accidentally reinforcing separation anxiety. When you leave and when you return.
So I can agree with that.
Alone, go and come back quietly and calmly.
Okay, agreed with that. That you first, you know, the first signs you see of your dog showing anxiety, you want to start working with that. You leave, I get really anxious, you come back, and, you know, after a period of time, the anxious feeling goes away. So therefore, when you're gone, I'm going to feel anxious. You can prevent that from happening.
Stop getting your dog so hyped up, telling them that everything's going to be okay, and leave. Stop getting hyped up, telling them how much you've missed them when you come home.
You can agree or disagree with that. To me, I think it depends on the situation. I mean, you know, I can say absolutely nothing to my Shiba when I leave, and I can be all hyped up and say, oh my gosh, I love you, and blah, 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 when I get back, and really doesn't make any difference to him. Either way, he's just going to give me those eyes that like, hey mom, I don't want you to go. Can I come with? And there's a lot of times when he does come with me, but there's times when he can't. And so I just say, okay, you know, I'll be back, whatever. And I go and I come back and I could be just as happy. And, you know, he's the same energy level ever since he was little. So I think it just depends. You can make it, you can celebrate when you get home if you want to. You can celebrate when you're leaving. I mean, it just depends on the rest of your relationship with your dog. It's not enough to just be calm. I mean, if you have a dog that's already conditioned to being excitable when you get home, yeah, maybe try rewarding for calmness. But there's more to it than just you leaving and going. It's the whole lifestyle of the dog. There's a lot more to it. You know, the totality of circumstances. It's not just, okay, I'm calm when I leave and I'm calm when I come back. Okay, the dog, that doesn't mean it's going to stop the dog from having separation anxiety. You still got to teach the dog to be okay on their own.
You're creating the separation anxiety.
So anyway, that was the end of that little clip. So I guess, you know, he just kind of ends it there. I mean, yeah, we do create separation anxiety, but, you know, that's why I don't like these little shorts. And you can give them like these quick little bits of information, but then people take it at just that and they run away. You know, nobody wants to listen to a 20-minute explanation about, you know, the what ifs and the whys and here's the other things that you may misinterpret and all that. So we're just going to move on. This other one is actually about a horse. Okay, so this next one is about a horse, not a dog, but I saw this many, many years ago on the Animal Planet, and at that time I believed what they're going to explain in this, which is just absolutely, you know, poppycock. I work with horses. I use rope halters. I don't use bits. I don't like bits. This is in barrel racing and all of that. I do not support barrel racing or anything where there's money. You know, they end up kicking the horse. They end up pulling on their face. There's tie downs. There's a lot of pain that these horses go through. You know, kick, and whip and beat and, you know, electric stimulation under the shocking under the saddle and all of this to make the horse go really quick around 3 little barrels in a little loop-de-loop type thing. And this person can win a ribbon. You know, and the horse ends up getting their face torn up with the bit, a long shank bit, and all this other stuff. So this horse is going to be fed up with her pulling on its mouth, and she's going to flip the horse over. So ouch, ouch, ouch. So this horse is just, God, I mean, good for this horse. Honestly, he's had enough. He says, this hurts. So, okay, so here's a perfect, God. So I'm reacting to this leverage bit that goes like this. Now this is tight and it's levered and it's pulling on the back of the skull and pulling, you know, up into the roof of the mouth and on the tongue and the gums. And this is a leverage bit, as I've talked about before. If you want to go check them out, check it on my horse channel. or my horse video, that it's, you know, a piece of metal in the mouth, and the leverage, the longer this part is that connects to the rein, the more leverage you have. So this could be, she pulls with 1 pound and he gets 5 pounds of pressure on this horse's jaw. So here she's really yanking. And this is what they all do. So she's yank, 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 ouch. And this horse is just kicking and saying, ouch, I've had enough. It hurts. Stop pulling on my mouth. And he jumps up and rears his head and ends up falling back because this woman was pulling on his mouth and being abusive and trying to get him to run around these barrels. And the horse flips back on top of her. It's not the horse's fault. It was this woman's. This person did this, and man, woman, whomever you are, you caused this to happen. But we're going to see how this show explains it. Ay. So we're going to go back. Born to barrel race. Now, I know you can't see it, but again, this horse has a big leverage bit. So this horse, this strap, the headstall goes here, it's connected here, and there's this big, long, huge shank, and these big flared nostrils. And the more she pulls, and it doesn't take a lot. She can go left or right, and this horse feels a tremendous amount of pressure being applied on the bars of the mouth, which is gum, just gum, over top of bone in the jaw. Or it hits the teeth, or it clamps the tongue down. This is not good. This is very painful for the horse. And people say, oh, I love barrel riding, blah, blah, blah. It's all about this. Never mind what the horse has to go through. So again, see, pulling on this horse's face, kick, 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 and they have these big spurs, and God, look at that huge leverage bit. Metal and all this twisted stuff is just, ouch, very painful. And this horse is saying, I've had enough, let go of my face, pull, pull. When the horse pulls its head down, she yanks it back. And it's fighting her, and if she were to stop pulling on its bit, it would stop fighting. I know it sounds crazy, but if you stop pulling on this horse's bit, he wouldn't have flipped over.
So
what scared him? See, they see it as the horse was scared.
Barrel horses are specifically trained not to spook.
That's just BS. Barrel horses are specifically trained not to spook. He wasn't spooked. This horse is not spooked. He is receiving a tremendous amount of pressure in his mouth, his or hers, and it starts kicking up and freaking out and saying, dude, I've had enough, let go of my face. And even as she falls back, she's holding on to the reins. That's all you have to do in barrel racing, is tie your saddle as tight as it'll go and hang on to the reins, and you're good. And just don't fall off.
So what scared BB?
Nothing scared him.
Horses' teeth grow continually throughout their lives.
Okay.
Reaching all the way up to their jaws.
Yeah.
Teeth are
These are called the wolf teeth. Usually males have one on top and bottom. I think females only have one on the bottom. They're like an old tooth. You know, a lot of times people will take them out to put the bit in place, or because, you know, it's easier on the horse, one less tooth to worry about. But
big and long and constantly grinding back and forth as a horse eats.
like always, they're going to claim this to be a tooth problem, not the fact that you have a large leverage bit placed right here where the bone is, and then there's gums, and that presses here, and it knocks against the teeth. And if this horse had wolf teeth, I mean, a lot of times horses get their teeth broken because of a bit, or they lose feeling in their tongue and it just sticks out all the time. I mean, they have broken teeth and flared nostrils. A lot of time horses will have flared nostrils because they're in pain, or they're running, or they're fearful. Long shank bit going down, tight reins. There could be a chain under the chin too, I don't know, but very uncomfortable for this horse. Not to mention that they have wraps around their legs. Big eyes, flared nostrils, super tight bit. So much that the lips are separated, it's foaming, its mouth is open. Really large, long shank bit causing pain and discomfort. Ouch, ouch. You see him like opening his teeth. This is not, God, this poor thing is in so much pain. Look at that leverage there. I mean, it's not because of the sharp point. And it's certainly not because of the sharp point alone. This poor thing. Oh my God, no. Horses do that, they open their mouth like that when they're in extreme pain. And I don't think you can get this bit much tighter. Oh my God, look at that. Jesus. So again, people are going to defend the bit hit, the cheeks were sore and the bit hit the sore spot. That's not why this horse freaked out. I mean, maybe it was, but it wasn't because of one tiny little sore spot. It was because of time and time again they have to run. They're kicked in the side with spurs. They're whipped. They're yelled at. You know, they're spanked on, and their big ass bit is just pulled around their face, and their face is all torn up, and their mouth is all torn up because some idiot wants to go running around barrels and get a belt buckle, get a ribbon, get a trophy. Meanwhile, the horse is just an absolute misery. Ouch. It's not just because of one little sore spot. This horse has finally had enough of the pressure being placed on their mouth. So she's still stuck in the stirrup, or maybe her foot's caught in the reins that are still pulling on this horse's mouth. She's lucky the horse didn't take off with her. If the horse really was spooky, he would have taken off and drug her and probably killed her. Again, I'm not saying this woman deserves this, but that's what happens when you go and you ride on a flight animal and put metal in their mouth and abuse them, and eventually they have enough. But she's back in riding again. She hasn't learned. She just has a bigger bit, a different horse. Maybe the same horse. I don't know. A lot of times when that happens, people have the owners have the horse immediately put down because they say the horse is crazy, the horse is unpredictable, the horse is dangerous. When really you just had an idiot on its back, and the poor thing wasn't going to fight back. And when they do fight back, they're immediately put down or labeled as dangerous. Anyway, I just wanted to show that as a quick video because I thought that was really interesting hearing how these people explain it, because the voiceover guy here is just reading a script, She and other people explained it to everybody else that, oh no, it was a sore tooth. He had a hook on his tooth because we hadn't gotten them floated, which is they basically file down the horse's teeth so that they can chew more comfortably. That wasn't it. So, okay, now I saw this one. How to use a belly collar for dog training. This is something where I've seen gun dog trainers will use shock collars on a dog's abdomen, on their lower belly, around the groin area. They will either use it for just the regular dog training, or I've seen other people use it on particularly what they would label as stubborn dogs, such as Akitas, Siberian Huskies. I've seen a couple on there where they put a shock collar not only around the neck, which wasn't enough, but they put it on the groin of the dog, and they shock it that way. So I'm not saying that's what he's going to do, but when I heard belly collar for regular old dog training, all right, we're going to see what he's talking about.
Girls, you don't have much to worry about here. Little boys, you got to get this junk right here. It's got to stay on the plus side of the band.
Ow, 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 ow.
So,
ow. He's getting mad at this dog who already has one shock collar on. I'm not saying this is a shock collar, but what are you doing? Very uncomfortable. What are you doing?
All the way tight would be snug down, just like the collar.
Jesus, dude. Aggressive. Like, just the way he handles the dog is very aggressive. Yes, I'm very, very soft. When I work with the dog, I'm not going to grab them on the collar and yank this much, because I want my slight hand barely touching the dog to mean something. I want the dog to respond to a soft hand. You have to use a collar around a dog to train them? I think you're just a straight up idiot. What are you doing? If you have to use a collar around a dog's abdomen, around their groin, then you really shouldn't be a dog trainer. You're just, That's not fairly loose here. It's tight. It's pulling up on his abdomen. Quit smacking him. He's going to freak out. Oh, God, that poor thing. That poor thing. I mean, people are going to say, oh, he's fine. The dog says this is uncomfortable. It's rubbing across my genitals. It's uncomfortable. It's scratching. It's tight. Yeah, they're going to freak out. He's not going to like it. You don't need this. What are you teaching with this? This dog is just so stimulated.
you don't need
What? That was it? That was it.
Belly collar.
He doesn't explain anything else other than just, okay, now we throw the toy. What? Okay. I mean, I guess either way, that was my, I haven't seen these before, so that was just my opinion on, don't do that. I mean, I wouldn't do that. You do whatever you want, but I think that's just stupid.
But you don't need to use the...
And here's our favorite guy, who now has a pouch full of treats, which he's not going to use because he never does. My response when someone tells me you don't need to use a prong collar, which is true, you don't need to. He does because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Prong collar teach that. You should just be doing it with food.
True.
No, you need a backup plan because when you don't have food on you, or he's not hungry, or chasing the lizard is more powerful than the hot dogs you have in your back pocket.
Let me tell you what you do when that happens. You still don't need a prong collar. You work your way to fade away from the food, or you work to a real life reward. So if that happens and you don't have the food, you don't rely on a prong collar. If you're not to the stage where you have faded out the food yet, or you've worked with a real life reward, and there's a lizard or there's whatever, or the environment is too high value, then you move the dog out of that environment and you go back to one where the food is higher value than the environment, and you work your way down to a lower value food or toy, and then you can fade to real life reward. And if you're in an environment where it's too distracting, then you don't train there. You don't work there. You don't expect it. You go back to the basics and you work your way up to it. You need to prepare the dog. You can't just expect them to listen all the time. And because they don't, then you just say, okay, I'm just going to correct you. My Shiba taught me that, hey, when I'm at the park, I'm not interested in food. Okay, no problem. I can use real life reward. I can still teach him to leave a squirrel alone. And we can go, as his reward, we can sniff. Say my Shiba sees a squirrel over here, and he's going after it, and he's not listening to me at all. I'm going to walk him back. We're going to increase distance from the squirrel to an area where there's nothing else interesting over here. He looks at me, and we go walking in the same direction he wanted to, where the squirrel previously was. The squirrel is no longer there, but he can smell where the squirrel was, and that's a reward for him. If you do it right, you don't need to rely on anything, especially not a metal pronged collar that goes in the dog's neck, is at the end of a 6-foot leash, and you pop it, make them yelp.
Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Zip. So, yes, we're going to do both. Yin and yang. It's
No.
just a test. That's all.
It's not yin and yang.
If he doesn't stop, pressure.
It's not pressure. It is a yank. It is a pop. It is discomfort. It is pain. If we're just walking and we don't know how long this thing... Oh, Jesus Christ. Holy sh**. Oh, my God. Good boy.
If he stops, payday. He makes that
No,
determination.
he doesn't get paid because I've never seen you actually pay the dog. You may do it once or twice, but his only payment is not getting hit with the prong collar. Like the video he took down, which I did previously, I'm glad I got it before he took it down, of him using a prong collar on a very soft dog. It yelped, it freaked out, it shut down, and I'm sure he got so much hate that he took it down. Or somebody rightfully reported it for animal abuse.
Prong collar.
Of course, always the truth about prong collars. Oh my gosh. The prong collar is a piece of metal that goes tight around a dog's neck, trachea. There's blood flow here. There's thyroid glands. There's airways and the esophagus and all that. And we use it on dogs because just like a leverage bit on a horse, because we don't know what we're doing. And we can't manhandle them enough with a flat buckle collar or a harness. So when we don't know what we're doing, we cause more pain and discomfort and fear and intimidation with these unnecessary tools. The dog has never needed this. The horse has never needed a bit. The horse doesn't need to tie down or any of that. The dog doesn't need a prong collar, shock collar, choke chain, anything else. Not even like a collar. You could teach him entirely off leash. Yes, with food, because that's operant conditioning. But we humans that think we're all smart, we need the prong collar, not the dog.
Evenly distributes pressure.
This distributes pressure like if you were laying on a bed of nails. If you were laying on a bed with 10 nails, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, evenly distributed, and you were to lay down, it would be evenly distributed across those 10 nails, but it wouldn't be comfortable. If you had 1,000 nails, all in the same row, and you lay down, it'd be more comfortable. I mean, no one's going to be comfortable laying on a bed of nails, but you get the point.
It's a safer collar to use.
It is not a safer collar to use. In fact, by design, it is less safe because of how much it digs into the throat, but it works and seems safer because it stops the dog from pulling.
Get a really strong dog, you have to really look at the mechanics of your leash.
If you have a strong dog, it doesn't mean that you need to resort to this. It doesn't mean you get to cheat your way out of it and use metal pain, just like with horses. You know, oh, he needs a bigger bit. That barrel horse that flipped over the lady, nearly tearing her face off because her face got caught in the horn of her saddle. Not the horse's fault. She pulled on its face and it flipped over. So now, you know what? He probably has a tie down. He has a bigger bit. He's dead. Maybe she killed him, or maybe she sold him, or maybe she's using other tools. She learned. She stopped barrel racing, but she didn't learn to stop using the bit. I control a horse with a rope across his nose, or her nose. The horse that I works with is a she. I don't need any. I don't need any bit in the mouth. The more you do this, the more reactivity you cause, the more pain you cause.
Dog. So you can already see like
Ow, 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 ow. So tiny little slip lead on this thick dog's neck. This is a very appropriate collar here. This martingale is the best thing for this dog. He has a muzzle on. They use this tiny little slip lead, or maybe it's on a prong collar. I don't know. He's pulling through the pain.
And so we want to use.
He says he's pulling through these things. This tiny rope, he's pulling through the pain. This is causing him to move forward. If I were working with this dog, I would have him on this collar and only on this collar or on a harness. Or I would have the owner, you know, since it doesn't seem like this dog is comfortable with other people working with him, totally fine. And I'd have them stop moving forward and apply the slightest bit of pressure to the right side of the dog or the left side of the dog, so the dog moves, kind of steps over their own foot and kind of sidesteps, you know, gets them off balance and then loosen, using this in a harness. And as I always say, people want to know how I would do this, so I will put this in the description below. There's a link to how I train dogs to walk on loose leash using none of these tools.
The least amount of force possible, or the least.
Who cares if it's helped you? I mean, I get that, but I'm not here to just help the owner. And people know that. I turn people down, and people turn me down often because I'm not a quick trainer. I'm in it to benefit the dog, most of all. If the owner is the only one getting benefit out of it, I'm not working with them.
Pressure possible in order to help him.
The least pressure possible. That's why he has a star mark in here too, of course. Plastic prong collar, basically. That is why, exactly what I teach, using a flat buckle collar to give into the least pressure, the least amount of pressure possible. And I don't need to rely on this bullshit. Good boy.
I'm just gonna go through it.
Ouch. Already lip licking. He's only able to do this because the dog is muzzled.
Do is you flick your wrist, or even.
Oh yeah, that's all because you're using basically a leverage bit in a horse's mouth, and so you can only move your hands a little bit, and the horse will feel it. In this case, it's around the dog's throat with metal prongs, and you just flick your wrist, and the dog feels it.
Roll your wrist. That's all I'm doing with him. I'm rolling my wrist
Until he gets more distracted, and then you have to jerk, and you have to pop, and it doesn't matter. You make it look nice, but the dog is only responding because it's in pain. It's trying to avoid the pain. He's going to say pressure. I'm going to say pain in his neck. Think back to the bed of nails.
that pressure so he doesn't pull.
It's not just pressure. It is pain compliance. So now that I've worked myself up, Adonis is asking me to go out. He wants me to lower my blood pressure, so I will. Go take a walk. Still stand by what I say here. You don't need any of this. If you want to use it, you want to follow these people, by all means, you're welcome to. You do not have to listen to me. You don't have to subscribe. If you want to, you're welcome to. I would appreciate it, but it's not a requirement. If you want to like the video or dislike it, you have a right to do that. And let me know what you all think of the video, of the multiple sections in here. Let me know what you would like to see next time. Until then, thank you for watching, and stay positive.